Here at Northern Drivetrain, we get a lot of questions on how to find the correct part. And right now I'm going to take a look at this flange yoke. This is a common part on a lot of vehicles, and it's easy to find the right one, but you need to know a few details about it first. There aren't any year, make, model application guides for flange yokes in vehicles, and so we need to take some basic measurements to try to figure out, what the dimensions of this thing are, what U-joint size is in it, and with those details we can find the exact one that'll fit your vehicle. But it just takes a few things that we got to grab a hold of. So the first thing is to identify the U-joint size, and in this case you can see the grooves inside the ears. So this is an outside snap ring style U-joint. On an inside style U-joint, or inside snap ring style U-joint, these faces here will be machined flat, and the snap rings will fit into grooves on the bearing caps of the U-joint and sit just inside of these ears. There won't be any grooves in there. So I have a caliper here. This is the preferred method of doing it. Now, you always want to make sure your caliper is zeroed when the jaws are closed, just to make sure. But I know most of you guys don't have a caliper to be able to measure this stuff with. So I'm going to show you how to do it with basically a simple tape measure. But one thing we have to make sure of, this little tang at the end that we all use, when we're doing construction and whatnot, and I've used it for many years. I worked construction for many years. Not very accurate. So just to make life simple and not have to do so much math, I always tell people start at the 10-inch line. We want to measure, put the line on one side, and measure across the other side. In this case, we're about 1 3/8 inches. That's the bearing cap diameter. Now we want to do the same thing across the width of the ears. Here we've got about 4 7/16. Now, I know, because we're in the industry, that this means this is a 1480 series U-joint. And I'll put up a list here of, what the common dimensions are for, the common series, common domestic series anyways. If you've got foreign, then you're going to want the caliper, because once you get to foreign, it's metric, and we're going to want to know in detail, because there's a lot of different U-joints in the world, and knowing which one is the right one can sometimes be, a matter of knowing exactly what the dimensions are. But for most applications domestically, we don't need to do that. So once the U-joint series is identified, then the mounting pattern here on the face is the next most important thing. And to do that, there are two important features. One is the bolt circle diameter. So if you drew an imaginary circle through all of these holes, that is the bolt circle. And you can't measure them by going across this way or across that way. The best way to do it is diagonally. And so we're going to take this, and again, going back to the 10-inch line, we want to measure actually from outside to inside. And the reason we do that is to get a hard edge to be able to line up the 10-inch line. Here we can tell that the bolt circle diameter to the inside edge of that hole is 4 3/4. Now the reason we do that is that I can't visually tell exactly where the center of that hole is. I mean, you can kind of tell, but not really. But if we go edge to edge, and if it's outside to inside, then we get the same thing. You're only off by half a hole diameter, but you get a nice line to line it up with. So now we know that this is a 4 3/4 bolt circle. Now on some of these yokes, and you'll see on this one that this happens to be a rectangular pattern. I can kind of see it, but you can check that too, and so you can measure both the horizontal, in which case here we're about 3 1/16. Again, edge to edge. This direction we're about 3 and not quite 5/8. And so this is a rectangular pattern. Many of these yokes, especially if they have a metric profile, those will be equal all the way around, and that is important to know. And then the last thing that we need to know there's this little feature right here. It's only about 1/16 of an inch high. It is the pilot. That actually is what keeps your driveline centered and keeps it from vibrating. And we didn't know that diameter. And so we'll do it again, starting at the 10-inch line, measure across. That's 3 3/4 of an inch. Now I happen to know that this is a Rockwell pattern, or what's commonly known as a Rockwell pattern. The Rockwell pattern is a 4 3/4 bolt circle, 3 3/4 male pilot. In this case, it's a 1480, but you know, the most common for those is 1410. We run this in a lot of bouncers and other stuff like that. It's a big joint. But with all of that information, then we can go back to the Northern Drivetrain website and feed that into our system. It's very easy to find the right flange yoke then with that information, because all of our flange yokes are named off the same pattern, and we can put a simple search in and find the right one within a matter of seconds. So I'll show you how to do that here in a minute. So now I'm going to show you how to look this up on northerndrivetrain.com. And so you can look here, and I mean, you can search by category, which is the way you'd get to it. And you can go to flange yokes here and 1480 here, and then scroll through, but there's a lot of them in the list. But one thing you will notice is that all of them start out flange yoke, 1480, all of this other stuff. And so in the quick search, you can type flange yoke, and then the important things. So 1480, we know that's the U-joint series. 4.75 is the bolt circle, and 3.75. So with this search, now we've already narrowed it down to 5 parts. And now the only differences really are essentially some things that we didn't take a look at, which are, you know, face to center line and operating angles and so forth. There's also some other differences that are in here too, but you know, just that few moments we were able to narrow it down to just 5 parts. And so, you know, we can certainly take a look at, you know, this one and see that you know, it should say right here max operating angle, but you know, it's 20 degrees from face to center. We're looking at 2 inches. You hop back. This is the one that is a little bit less popular. Face to center, 1.5 inches, only 8 degrees. So, you know, just that little thing of knowing that the naming is all consistent. You can see it very clearly right here. We'll show you that, you know, you can use this quick search to your advantage by just throwing in the basic details, and it'll bring you down to this nice small list that you can then go through and search instead of having to go through pages and pages of stuff. So that is how we take a look and measure flange yokes. Of course, if you have questions, you're always welcome to contact us. You can reach us at support@northerndrivetrain.com. You can call us at 866-831-1414. And we're certainly more than happy to help you and make sure you can get the parts that you need.